Assalamu alaikum, and this is Mohsin Hamid, and the topic that we'll be discussing in this lecture is rural urban composition of population. In this topic, we'll try to learn the rural and urban components of population. As you know, that population can be divided into two groups, that's rural and urban. And how are these two groups different? The criteria varies from country to country. So, the division can be based on a residence or size of population or occupation. Apart from these three main factors, we also take into account the differences in terms of age, sex, occupational structure, density of population, as well as the levels of development. Now, this division is necessary because rural and urban lifestyles differ from each other in terms of their livelihood and socio-economic conditions. Now, as you can see, these two photographs, one is of rural area and another is of urban area. I hope this will give you some sort of idea as to how an urban area differs from a rural one. We know in a rural area, population as well as the population density is very less, which makes the settlement scattered over a large area, and people mostly practice agricultural activities. Whereas in urban areas, the population and population density is very high. You see, in an urban area, there are high rise buildings which indicate less availability of land and more population, right? So, briefly, the urban population lives in large size settlements which we call as towns and cities, where majority of population is involved in non agricultural activities. Now we can make the difference. In rural area, people are mostly engaged in primary activities, and in urban area, majority of the working population. What is working population? We will try to learn in the subsequent slides. So the population is engaged in non-primary activities. So likewise, if we take the example of rural urban differences in terms of sex ratio between developed and developing countries, the results are quite contrasting. If you observe these diagrams, you can say that in rural areas of developed countries, males outnumber females, whereas in urban areas of these countries, females are more than males. And the case is opposite in case of developing countries, where rural areas possess more female population than males, and in their urban areas, we have more males than females. The reason for this difference is that in developed countries, the flow of female population from rural areas to urban areas is more than males because their influx towards urban areas is job oriented. They migrate towards urban areas to seek job opportunities. Also, in rural areas of developed countries, the farming activity is highly mechanized, but it is male dominated. Whereas in developing countries, the participation of females in farming activity is high. I repeat, in countries like India, we have the female participation in farming activity in rural area very high. Correct? So this is also because of certain other reasons, which include, say for example, shortage of housing, high cost of living, paucity of job opportunities, lack of security in urban cities or urban places. So all these factors, they actually they discourage the rural women to migrate towards the urban areas. Correct? Then we have the literacy factor. The definition of literacy actually varies from country to country. And in India, literacy rate is simply the percentage of population above 7 years of age which is able to read and write and is capable of doing arithmetic calculation with a fair understanding. Having said that, literacy rate is actually an indicator, in fact, of socio-economic development of a country. And it reveals many things. It reveals standard of living, it reveals social status of women, the availability of education facilities, as well as the policies of the government. Moreover, the level of economic development is both a cause as well as a consequence of literacy. What I mean is that if the level of economic development of a country is low, it can be attributed to low literacy levels. And in case the level of economic development of a country is high, its literacy levels can be high. In other words, a good percentage of literacy rate indicates that a fair amount of the GDP or simply the money is spent on education sector. Another constituent is the density, which simply refers to the ratio between the number of persons to the size of land. It's measured in terms of population upon area and is calculated in persons per square kilometer. So the formula is simply D is equal to V upon A, and this density is one of the factors that distinguish a rural area from an urban one. In India, we actually adopt the criteria to distinguish a rural area from an urban one. So, in terms of population and population density, we take the area having the population of more than 5,000 persons. Its density is more than 400 persons per square kilometer, and then around 75% of the working population involved in non-primary activities. So if the criteria is, I'll repeat, the population is more than 5,000 persons, density is more than 400 persons per square kilometer, and at least 75% of population is engaged in non-agricultural pursuits, that area is treated as an urban area. Besides these three parameters, besides these three criteria, we also take into account the presence of a municipality. It can be a municipal committee or a corporation. It can be cantonment board or simply a notified town area committee. So if all these things are present, the region is treated as a urban region. And if it's not there, if the values are opposite, then the region is a rural region. Then we have another component which is occupational structure. The occupational structure is simply the population involved in different occupations. And in any country, the population in the age group of 15 to 59 years of age constitutes the working population, which are actually involved in different economic activities. And those activities can range from simple agriculture, forestry, transport, communication services, so on and so forth. So all these activities are actually divided into four categories, which are primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. In primary activities, we are concerned with those activities where we are directly dependent on the environment. Whatever we obtain it from the nature. So it includes societies which are primitive and people are mostly engaged in agriculture and allied sectors. So we can have under primary sector agriculture, we can have forestry, we can have fishing, we can have mining, and the like. Then we have the secondary activities. These are those activities which add value to the products got from the nature, right? So from raw materials, when we transform them into a finished product, we say that we are concerned with the secondary activities. So it this involves manufacturing, processing, industries, etc. And then we have the tertiary activities. It's one step up the ladder and are more specialized than secondary activities. It involves telecommunications, hospitality, public health, pharmacy, education, banking, and the like. And then we have quaternary activities. This one is actually on the top of the ladder. These activities are mostly concerned with the knowledge. These are more specialized. This type of activity or this sector is information based. It's concerned with IT, it's concerned with research and development, with software development, and many other such activities. And then the proportion of population in these sectors gives us an indication about the level of economic development of a particular country. Having said that, if the people are more engaged in secondary, tertiary, and quaternary sector, it simply indicates that the economy of that country is a developed one, because only a developed economy with industries and infrastructure can accommodate more workers in the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary sector. And if the economy is in primitive stage, it means more people are engaged in primary activities or simply agricultural and allied activities, then it simply infers that the level of economic development in that particular country or a region is very low. I hope you people must have got an idea about the differences in terms of rural and urban population of a country. Thank you. Thank you very much.